What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode number 42 of Week in Review, aka The Meaning of Life. My name is Sean, and on this week's show, we're going to talk about one movie, one game, one limited edition item, and we'll look forward to this week's new releases. First up on this week's show is the movie Bohemian Rhapsody. And I want to preface this review by saying that I understand that this movie was directed by Bryan Singer. I didn't actually realize that until it was pointed out on Twitter the day that I was going after I had already secured the tickets. For those of you who don't know, Bryan Singer has been accused of some pretty terrible things. I'll leave you to look it up. It is, fair warning, pretty brutal. If it were up to me, he wouldn't be making movies at all, and I'm sure there are hundreds, if not thousands, of directors who could have done this movie and probably honestly done it better. This movie is very uneven. It has strong performances from the cast. The music, obviously, is great. It's Queen. I like Queen. They have a very unique sound to them that I enjoy. Even as a person who doesn't really like classic rock all that much. The musical performances are a lot of fun. They're very energetic. They do a great job of, I sat there and I was like, man, it sucks that Queen, Freddie Mercury, he's passed away, died in 1991. It sucks that he's not around. That would have been a cool band to see. And I think about, you hear about those hypothetical questions of, if you could pick any band to ever go see, dead or alive, who would it be? And I never have an answer for that because I don't care. It's usually something like a very small band that doesn't exist anymore, something like Cyrus Fell Down or whatever. But this movie was actually kind of oh, Queen, you could pick them. That would be a good option for that particular. I don't know why I have my hand on my hip, but that would be a good option for that specific question. Very, very specific question. But the movie struggles a lot with what it's trying to do. It bounces too much between is this a Freddie Mercury movie? Is this a Queen movie? Because if it's a Freddie Mercury movie, then there's too much Queen. And if it's a Queen movie, then there's too much Freddie Mercury. And what's weird about that is it doesn't go deep enough in either category, the Queen category or the Freddie Mercury category, for it to feel effective. I walked in with very little knowledge of Queen, of backstory, history stuff, or any of that sort of thing, and I didn't walk out feeling like I learned much more. You learn a little bit about his heritage. He changes his name, legally changes his name to Freddie Mercury, and he's a huge dick for a while. That's about it. And I don't know, I walked out of this movie feeling I don't know what casual audiences are going to get out of this, and I feel like people who are hardcore Queen fans are going to get nothing out of this movie because they probably know everything, and they probably know it in greater detail, and probably could have told those stories better. This is especially true towards the end of the movie where Freddie Mercury makes a series of bad decisions, and he's surrounded himself with people who don't really care about him. There's one character who's very, very shallow and one-dimensional, who looks like he's very manipulative of Freddie and who he talks to, but it's not really clear why he does that. If he's just a control freak, if he's just an asshole, it's not stated. And I don't know, that's such an encapsulation of why this movie is so frustrating to watch, because weirdly enough, I think this movie is actually good. It just doesn't do enough. I was interested and my attention was held, but I just kept sitting on it. I was you can go deeper with this. Tell me more. Get your hands dirty a little bit. This all feels very surface level stuff. Anyway, Freddie Mercury surrounded himself with crappy people. He's been a dick. He's left the band. He's doing his solo albums. I'm not really sure if he even likes them at any point. I have no idea. And he has that that U-turn moment where the girl he had married, she comes back and she's I've been trying to get a hold of you, and there's this big, the big concert, it's Live Aid, all these bands are doing it, it's for the famine in Africa and so on and so forth. And he's what? No one's told me this, because this other guy has been taking all of his calls and it's been blocking people out and all this sort of stuff. And it's one conversation that changes his whole attitude. He just leaves after a very long conversation, standing in pouring rain. He just walks away from his house, and he calls the band manager or whatever, and wants to talk to the band and apologize and see if they can get on that show and get back together and do that. At this point, he also presumably he's coughing up blood into a napkin at one point, and that's really about all they do with that. This, I mean, by the way, this section, like, one, kind of a spoiler, but two is also in the last, like, 25 to 30 minutes of it. So it spends a long time with the, like, uprise of Queen to their peak where he leaves for $4 million for a solo record. And then I've kind of picked up after the end of that where he's, I don't know what in the hell is happening in his head. And so when the band, like, gets back together and he's apologizing to them, he's talking about how, like, how much they need him and how much he needs, Brian May's notes and pushback on that, on songs, and they want all the writing credits are just, it's written by Queen, it's done by Queen, all the profits are split evenly 4 ways, and he's, they kind of, it seems like they kind of know they have him at, like, he'll do whatever it takes to get this deal done so they can maybe kind of push a little harder than they would. But it's a thing that just rings super weird or not even true because we haven't really seen the creative process at this point. Like, the creative process for a lot of songs is people just sitting at various instruments and, like, spontaneously coming up with riffs or musical portions of certain songs. And, like, I've never been a part of, like, writing any sort of music, and I think that's part of the problem is I think it's hard to show a spontaneous creative effort in a way that isn't cheesy in a movie. Like, I think that's really, really hard to nail, and I think they really missed the mark on this one, because a bunch of times you're like, oh, you just sat there at the keyboard and you're like, I just played these notes, just happened to play them. There's no tweaking or working on it or anything like that. The climactic scene of this particular movie is the Live Aid concert, which they're able to get in. Everybody gets 20 minutes. All these big stars are doing it, so on and so forth. And they get in there. They get in past the deadline, but, Queen's big enough, and Freddie Mercury, destroys the stage. Like, just surprisingly doesn't, like, light it on fire. Like, that performance is super well done. It's also a very large chunk of the movie, to the point where because I don't know a ton about Freddie Mercury, I actually thought, like, oh, this must have been his final performance. He's not gonna, live longer past this. No, he lived for another 6 years, and they just don't even bother with that. They barely bother with his AIDS. They barely touch on his sexuality of any kind. Like, it's a very, like, footnote thing. They barely talk about the guy that he starts dating at the end of the movie and spends the rest of his life with. Like, these three huge, important things are barely touched on. And that's where that, like, is this a Freddie Mercury movie? Is this a Queen movie? That's where this thing is the most frustrating, because he's the main character throughout, but it skates around his sexuality. Like, it doesn't really seem to want to have that much to do with it. I just found it to be very, very frustrating and a huge missed opportunity to show how much someone struggles with something that isn't accepted and making him empathetic. It just felt like a frustrating miss on that last little bit. They could have added a little bit more of an epilogue and shown how he had changed and continued to change for the remainder of his life, the last 6 years. Because when he's telling the band that he has AIDS, he has it, he just wants to make music and he just wants to do that, and they just don't really do anything with it. They're like, oh, he played at Live Aid, and then there you go, there's your 3 facts, and then he leaves. For as critical as I have been about this particular movie, I actually did like it overall. Like, if it were like a thumbs up or thumbs down scenario, if they had like a middle one, I'd be like, it's fine. It doesn't really do anything miraculous or special. It also isn't, like, egregiously bad in any sort of way, except for their choice of director. Our second item on this week's show is the Fallout 76 beta, or the Break-It, that's hyphenated, Break-It early test application, which is their clever way of saying beta. I've talked about this game a little bit before. It was rumored or leaked right before E3. I talked about it on the E3 reactions show, and I wasn't super jazzed with it. If you had asked me 10 years ago, 2008, Sean, you said, hey, Sean, you like Fallout 3? You think it's a good game? You didn't understand it at first because it was a first-person shooter, so that's what you played it as, even though it's a role-playing game disguised as a first-person shooter. But upon further replaying, you'll really find you enjoy it. Would you like a multiplayer version of this? And I would have said, hell yeah. Because at 18, I had all kinds of free time and stuff, and, like, friends that I played online with. Fast forward 10 years, I don't really play all that many online games, save for like a Call of Duty or Halo, Battlefield, stuff like that, stuff that's designed with multiplayer that I enjoy. So this game comes at kind of a weird place. I don't remember being very excited for it. In fact, I was probably pretty disappointed with it back during the E3 reactions of it. I was also very excited that there was a possibility of a Fallout 3 remaster, which I actually would have rather had over this particular game. And I'm not super big on the building and gathering of materials aspect from Fallout 4, a game that I only put about 10 hours into it. Oddly enough, this game actually makes me want to play Fallout 4, go back and do that. I picked up the Game of the Year edition a couple weeks ago because I was thinking about it. I only played about 10 hours of the game, and I always wanted to go back because I feel like I didn't get far enough into it. But at the same time, like, if you walk away from a game because you're not feeling it, there's like nothing wrong with that. However, there's nothing wrong with, does an adjusted time period fix expectations, either lower or raise them, or just change them around? I guess it doesn't have to be a positive or a negative thing, just change them enough to maybe have a better experience with the game. So I have like a good save point in all the DLC, so that's beside the point. That's the weird note about Fallout 76. It made me want to play a different game in the same franchise. What this game does well is it does a good job of continually giving you quests. One of the things that I struggle with, especially after playing a bunch of Minecraft, is I need direction. Like, I need someone to be like, hey, do this. Here's a suggestion. Here's a mission. Like, I need that. I'm not creative enough on my own to just wander around an area. I get bored very easily. I don't know what to do. But if you say, hey, go over here, see what's going on, okay, I'll walk around your area. And that's what this game is. It's a Minecraft Ark Survival Evolved, the other one, 7 Days to Die, sort of creative sandbox sort of thing. I struggled early on with the creation stuff and the creation and crafting and gathering of materials, because it doesn't work like it does in other games. Like, you're looking for specific trees that have fallen over that have the wood that you're looking for. I actually like tried to punch trees because I was like, are you going like full like Minecraft on this, where you're like punching trees to get wood? Or 7 Days to Die does that as well. Like, no, you have to find a specific tree that's on the ground, and when you look at it, it brings up the menu. It brings up when you have, like, when you look in cabinets and you can pick or choose to take wood from it, and it's kind of weird like that, because it has quests early on that show like create a weapon or cook some food or boil some water or whatever, but it doesn't show you what you're looking for. And I actually ended up finding that stuff kind of just organically, which is fine that I did that, but it also would have just been nicer in the early stages of the game when it's teaching you how to do a bunch of other things, if it would have just thrown that in. Put like items that spawn frequently close to the area you start in, and go from there. It takes an extra couple minutes, and I feel like I would have a better understanding of what I'm looking for and where I need to look for certain items. Having quests in this game definitely helped me. Like I said, I'm not super creative. I kind of need that push to, hey, go do this or go do that. But the problem with that is the quests are kind of just fetch questy, and they, for some reason, keep you in a very specific area, and you have to kind of go back and forth from point A to point B. And it's not that big of a deal. What sucked for me was that 2 separate times, because it's an open world multiplayer game, which actually ran like surprisingly well. I didn't have trouble getting it in any matches. I played on a PlayStation 4 Pro. It ran pretty well. It has kind of the classic Bethesda jank to it, so like graded on a curve, I guess. But I was surprised at how stable the servers were. I never got dropped. I never had trouble finding a match. But because it's online open world thing, they have events that'll just randomly spawn. And what sucked about that was 2 separate times I was trying to do a quest in a certain area, and an event spawned that lasted like 15 minutes, and I wasn't powered up enough. Like, I didn't have enough ammo for weapons. I didn't have strong enough weapons to feel like I could to like fight this stuff off, to where it kind of locked that area off for me, where I was like, well, I just have to wait for this event to end before I can go back in and get what I need to get, which is going to take 2 minutes. And that was super frustrating, because I want to continue doing these quests, but I wish that either there were more people populated in the server where I was before the event stopped, or before the event started, I should say, Like, oh, hey, there's 3 people here, maybe they'll work together. Because I actually didn't. I tried a few different times to beat the event, which was like a 5-wave defense sort of thing, and it was only when somebody else showed up and I had a helping hand that I was able to defeat it. And that just, I don't know, that kind of sucked. It sucked that it felt like content, or not content, but a mission area was locked off because I knew I wasn't strong enough for a reason that was out of my control. Like, there's a difference between I went into this area, I'm level 5, they're level 10, and hey, you're level 5, there's just too many enemies for you to be able to wrangle on your own. So that was kind of frustrating. Overall, I played this game for about 4 hours or so, and the more I played it, the more I both enjoyed it, because I liked the questing stuff. Even if it was kind of fetch questy, I was enjoying that. I like completing quests and getting experience and leveling up and doing all that sort of stuff. But it also really pushes some things that I think are really tedious and annoying. For some reason, it's decided that I mean Bethesda. Bethesda has decided that you need to be sure to check on your water and your food, and that was really annoying and tedious, and I just thought it was kind of boring. It was hard to find food that wasn't really super harmful to you, and it also took a long time for you to be able to set up your camp and start to build some stuff, like mission structure wise, build your camp and start to be able to build like a water purifier or a stove or a storage unit and a bed and stuff like that. So it's kind of weirdly paced early on, because the thing that I like about Fallout games is you can go in buildings and like explore them, and I wanted to do that, but I also had like a bunch of crap with me, and I just wanted to like drop that off somewhere. And there's an area early on in the game where you can do some of that stuff. It's more freeform, but I was much farther north, and I didn't want to lug all this stuff all the way back just to go back all the way north, where it was like a main story quest. So it was kind of both a personal choice, but it also is slowly paced. I don't feel like there are enough tutorials early on in the game. Weirdly kind of a flip of Red Dead Redemption, but I think this game kind of needs a little bit more of that guiding hand in the systems, because they're different than they are in other games. But I don't know, maybe that was just me. I don't know, I liked it the more I played it, but it kind of still made me just want to go play Fallout 4 instead. That being said, I don't know, I wouldn't be opposed to spending a weekend with this particular game and kind of diving in and seeing what it's all about. I think the leveling's satisfying. I like the quest lines. I have no idea what's going on in the story. I skipped a lot of that because I was not paying attention because it was a beta. They've been saying that they want to carry the progress over from beta to full launch. I don't know if that'll happen, but I don't know. It's a game that I feel very torn on. There are aspects of it that I really like. It's cool that we're getting a new Fallout game. I like that universe. I think it looks interesting. On the flip side, it takes a lot of things that I think are kind of boring and tedious and puts them at the forefront. So it may be best for me personally to just go back and play 3 or New Vegas or even 4. But if you're interested in it, the game comes out next week. And if you'd like to see some gameplay in it, be sure to check back tomorrow. There will be a Let's Play on the channel. Let's test, I guess, because it was a test. And I did a little walking around. I talked a little bit more about the game. So if you'd like to see more, be sure to check back on that tomorrow. I'm glad that there was a beta for this game, because I feel like this is the type of game that can really sell itself this way. And I finally got to understand how all of the systems kind of, at least very surfacely, like intro hoursly, that's not a word, but like very early on kind of start to understand how the systems work and what they're going for, even though I don't really think the game is for me. Next up is the limited edition segment. Shout out to my grandpa for posting this on Facebook, because if I hadn't have seen that, I wouldn't have actually gone out and hunted for them. I probably would have seen them at some point, but I made like a special effort to go get these hot chocolate M&Ms. The cool thing about fall, I love fall, I love winter. Winter's my favorite, but the cool thing about this particular season between early October and December is lots of different variations, limited edition items. A lot of it is pumpkin spice, but we do get some kind of odds and ends. You get the hot chocolate stuff, you get like some caramel apple things. So I don't know, there's turkey and gravy chips out there. For those who are crazy, they had they used to have the Jones 5-pack that was like a whole turkey dinner. That was exciting. The Brussels sprout soda nearly made me throw up like 10 years ago. So it's an exciting time for people like myself who like limited edition and weird things. So I like hot chocolate, and I'm trying not to move the bag because I know it's terrible for the audio. even though I'm going to have to open them here in a second. And these are milk chocolate with white chocolate marshmallow flavored center. There is no A in that. I read that verbatim from the bag. It should say with a white chocolate marshmallow flavored center, but maybe this is a typo bag. And it's like a limited edition. It also doesn't say limited edition on them, but it is Target exclusive, so close enough. I make the rules on this show, so who cares? So we'll crack these open. Looks like they're just black and white, or brown and white M&Ms. Now for my favorite part. Also, shout out to Starburst Jelly Beans. When I was up at Target, they put out like a Halloween variant Starburst Jelly Beans, which are just orange and grape, which are the two best flavors of Starburst Jelly Bean. So I bought like 3 bags of those on sale. Yeah, $2. It's a good combo. They're not like that special though. So there's like a light brown, a regular brown, and a white. So like a milk chocolate brown, like a caramel. That's a better color description, and then just a white. So I'll try these out. So there's the inside for you. I don't know how well it's picking up on camera, but it has the candied M&M exterior with a milk chocolate. It's like a layer, like a 3-layer sort of thing with a white chocolate center. So, they're okay. I like them, but they don't taste what I think hot chocolate tastes like. I don't think there's enough of the marshmallow flavor in there. To be fair, I don't ever put marshmallows in my hot chocolate, so this just kind of tastes like a regular M&M. But if we're basing it on what it's trying to be, I don't think it quite hits the mark for replicating the flavor of hot chocolate in an M&M. So that's too bad. But I'll eat this last one because everyone should know, you eat M&Ms in 3s, not in 2s, not in 4s. Numbers divisible by 3. So there we go. 3 M&Ms. They're fine. You can go find these at Target. I don't really I don't know. They're not that special, but they're not terrible. If you're interested, go pick them up. You could probably also wait until the holiday season is done and maybe pick them up at a discount. Try them then. I don't know. They're not the greatest thing in the world, but they're also not the worst. So there you go. There are the hot cocoa M&Ms. I call it hot chocolate, but hot cocoa M&Ms. Finally, on this week's show, we'll look forward to this week's new releases. There is a ton of stuff out all over the place this week, so let's get to it. On Blu-ray, BlacKkKlansman hits. That's one of my top movies of the year. I reviewed it on this show back in early August. Christopher Robin hits, which was a movie that I missed. A note for my own personal self, Grindhouse Collector's Edition is out. So Sean, future Sean, editing Sean, maybe look into that. It's a steelbook. You like steelbooks, so there you go. And Incredibles 2 is out, a movie that I didn't think was all that great, but it's on Blu-ray this week. In theaters this week is The Grinch and The Long Dumb Road, which is a trailer that I really liked and a movie that I'm interested in. I anticipate that would be a very small release, maybe widening over a couple of weeks if it gets good word of mouth, but that one will probably be one of those never made it here. We'll see it on Blu-ray. The Xbox games with gold were announced, of course, the day I posted last week's video, and it's a pretty good month. Here on November 1st, or available now, Battlefield 1 is available for the Xbox One, and Assassin's Creed is available on the 360, and the 360 games, again, backwards compatible on the Xbox One. On November 16th, Race the Sun is out on Xbox One, and Dante's Inferno is the Xbox 360 game. I think that game was good. I don't remember. I think people liked it. And then PlayStation Plus was announced Bulletstorm Full Clip Edition and Yakuza Kiwami are out. Yakuza Kiwami, thank God I said that twice, is a remake of the first game, I believe. People really like the Yakuza series. And then Burly Men at Sea and Roundabout are available on the PlayStation 4 with the Vita cross-buy promotion that they ran for a while. And then games that are out this week, just regular on-the-shelf, digital shelves, store shelves games. Grip Combat Racing hits Xbox Game Pass. It is also available on PlayStation 4 for the full price of $40. The Shape-Shifting Detective, which is a FMV, a full motion video game. Those are making a comeback for some reason. There's somebody out there, some developer out there is very dedicated to those. A game that looks visually very interesting, 1111 Memories Retold, about World War I, hits PlayStation 4 this Friday. Road Redemption, which is basically Road Rash, but not Road Rash. Like Road Rash, the game that's like a little more graphic and doesn't have the Road Rash name to it, if that makes sense. That's out on PlayStation 4. And Steel Rats is out on PlayStation 4. I had to double check and make sure I read that right. Steel Rats is out on PlayStation 4 as well. That's like a 2.5D side-scroller game. The front wheel of your motorcycle in that game is a like a big blade, so that caught my attention. Very similar to Grindhouse, but like a metal, it doesn't matter. Instead of a gun leg, it's a metal wheel. You get it. Thank you so much for watching this week's show, the 42nd episode. Here, obviously, I have given you the meaning of life by simply saying the number 42. If you like the content, hit that subscribe to button down below. Let me know what you're looking forward to. Did you play the Fallout 76 beta? Let me know what you thought of it. Did you see Bohemian Rhapsody? Let me know what you thought about that as well down in those comments below. Check back for the Fallout 76 Break It Early test application. Test it, let's play, test play, whatever, I don't know, some clever name to get views. Check that out tomorrow, Wednesday. And as always, check back every Tuesday for more Week in Review. See you next week.